change your mind.
You require my assistance? Bingo! We're gonna be rich.
I have no time for games.
Inferno! You require my assistance? Who am I?
Let me change your mind.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tavern Talk, the show where we like to provide some hot takes and look foolish doing so in the process. I am, of course, J.R. Juggerlaw here as one of your three usual hosts. We do not have a guest tonight, as you all know, but we do have some fantastic company. I'm, of course, joined by my two lovely co-hosts. First, he is the man, the myth, the legend who is part fish, but not a doctor. Say hello to Dr. Fish.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I just had to unmute myself in OBS. I'm happy to be here. We got some great matches to talk about this week.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
And Anfall coming in hot with the 30 months on the Prime sub. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, this man right here, he is dedicated, and I love it.
We will.
Now, we've got, of course, our other host, who, as I said, is of the flower variety. But I'm also going to be calling him the frickin' champion this week, as he came in clutch and helped me find a sub for my legacy team on very short notice. So this is not just this man is no myth. He's just a legend. Say hello to Geranium Battle.
Hello. I did two things for JR last week. I found a sort of wording convention in the announcement for the week so that he could get a sub one day later, and I found a sub for him. But all in all, I was just trying to help out my Hero 3 seed who was having a tough weekend. So all water under the bridge.
He is a man, and he's also a turtle, for the record.
Yeah, we love turtle.
Yeah,
we love
turtle. Turtle in the three.
He is oh so turtly enough for the Turtle Club, always and forever. But yeah, we've got ourselves a fantastic show for tonight. Now, we do want to, of course, briefly talk about the recent nerfs that were just announced, because last week we knew nerfs were coming, but we did not have any information as far as what was going to happen. And we found out there were 8 cards that were nerfed this week. How do you guys feel about that?
Thank you for being gone, OTKDH.
Or so we
Yeah.
think.
No, I mean, I think at the very least it's a pretty big hit to the deck.
Oh, it is.
Um,
Oh no, it's a
we've-
huge hit.
Yeah, because we've been talking about how with OTK Demon Hunter in particular, that was a deck that was bad enough before, but then we saw people being able to get OTKs with that deck on like turn 4, 5, right? Something like
Yeah,
that.
if you get all your draws in for sure, and you draw the right cards to
Yeah,
get discounted.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
now it's like all of a sudden you have this 6 cost card. That means you can't make this combo work until at least turn 8 and 9.
Yeah.
A majority of the time.
Sure.
And that's not necessarily the worst thing ever, but it certainly does mean you have less flexibility as far as
Agreed.
How much time you have before you're kind of forced to start utilizing cards you maybe don't want to utilize to protect yourself. So
Thank goodness.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, no,
exactly.
I'm glad that OTKDH in its current iteration is in its old iteration is no more. I other nerfs, I was very happy to see the change to Battlemaster. It's no fun having your opponent pretty much just inevitably drop. I mean, I guess it doesn't change maybe all that much. I think the conviction nerf was bigger, honestly, because but it does. I still think like I've had people just drop conviction on like whatever turn, and you're just like, oh, if I don't clear this entire board, Battlemaster's coming and I'm dead. So at least there's no like conviction Battlemaster on 6 or even on 7. Now it's on 8 because conviction's now 2 mana. Battlegrounds Battlemaster is now 6 mana. I know we don't cover Wild, but I've been loving the new even lock builds in Wild that run Battlemaster.
Right, because now that can be included.
Yeah. But in general, I think these nerfs were very much needed. Obviously, flow going to 3, it slows mage down a little bit. I've still seen mages completing the quest by 5 because it's not that hard to complete the quest. It's just like it slows it down afterwards, so you're not just getting constant 0, 2 mana things flowing at you like all the time. It takes time to play the flows at least. I think I'm happy overall. I think things are in such state of flux that it's hard to really like get my full thoughts until like we see how things shake out.
I would agree. It's very much a volatile meta right now as people are trying to see how much everything has been affected by the nerfs.
Yeah.
I've actually got some more full thoughts. I think that pretty much every single card that's been nerfed is going to see play again. I think that they've gotten much better at actually nerfing the cards.
Yeah.
We see Battlemaster still seeing play in Warlock decks. We see Conviction still seeing play in Paladin decks. Glow is still seeing play in Mage decks. Even some people are still trying to do Ilgi stuff, Ilganoth with OTKDH, even though it's going to be a little bit later. Actually all well nerfed.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Ilganoth's the one card I'm skeptical about how much is still going to see play, but that's also going to be dependent on, 1, how much OTK Demon Hunter still sees play, and 2, if there are other kind of builds for Demon Hunter that people want to kind of reinvent the wheel on and incorporate Ilganoth into that, because there was I do remember there was a point where Ilganoth was still being played in Soul Demon Hunter because you could make like a big weapon with the lifesteal weapon, make a big attack, play Ilganoth, double that attack, and suddenly you're just killing your opponent because of how much you could easily make that happen. Obviously that strategy is not going to be quite as powerful, but excuse me, it does make me wonder what possibilities are out there that we don't even know about just yet. So,
yeah, for sure. So with that all said, I guess let's. Oh, I can't hear JR anymore. I think he might have muted his headset.
Thankfully, because he coughed.
Unmute. Yeah. Sorry. I said the one thing I will just add is that I do agree with Geranium that I think pretty much the rest of these cards are going to continue to see play. I think they did a good job of nerfing them. but I'm very intrigued to see how some of these decks might change. Because like Mage, I don't really see changing in its composition,
No.
but Paladin, by contrast, I think will. So that's going to be very intriguing to watch unfold.
Yeah, we'll see for sure.
But now we'll get right to the actual match reviews. So just to give everybody a heads up, we were talking about this with Diamond, but since we're going to be doing, well, actually no, we're starting with Hero, right?
Yeah, we're in Hero.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll wait till the other announcement. So we'll start off with Hero. I decided to go with for this week's match, No Pros here versus F2L Black. These are obviously two very well-known teams, both with a pretty big history in the Hero series. No Pros here, of course, being Pasca's team that he has run for several seasons. They had a very good run last season, but didn't quite pull out the W in the end. And they're off to a very strong start, being 1-0. Of course, we got PWE, Your Mom Kid, Pasca, Snakefots, and Chewbacca. And they're going up against the newly revitalized F2L Black, which basically just, I think if I remember correctly, they took Catharsis and replaced it with Nice Jewish Owl, right?
No, there's two new players. Hockey
it's two new
Boys,
players. Robson's back.
Hockey Boys, and Catharsis stepped back, and Neji and Nice Jewish Owl got added. Yeah, so it's just swapping two players.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Rebob and Itachi played on the team last season.
Yeah, no, I remembered both of them. That threw me off.
Yeah.
And of course, you were the five seed last season.
I am still their trusty 5.
You're trusty in several ways, Fish. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
But F2L still coming out with 12 points last week despite a loss, and here they are coming in against No Pros here. Now, I guess the big question that I'm wondering is, do we think No Pros here are going to be having a very similar run this season? Because I think their roster is pretty identical to last season, if I remember it correctly, right? Or mostly the same?
No, MPH is...
No, wait, no. Pasca...
MPH is
Pasca
pretty
is
different.
playing.
MPH is pretty different this
actually,
season.
no.
I
The
think
top two I know are both played last season, though.
Yes, it was...
Okay.
It was PWE, Carvalho, your Mumked... I don't think
that's right.
Disco and Quaz. Yeah, I think there's 3.
Yes, my
there was
apologies.
3 news.
No. So most of the team has not returned.
Yeah.
But Pasca, of course, was still the captain last season.
Course.
So I guess you could say it's 3 of the 6 people returning then.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, and your Mom Kid moving up a seed as well.
Yeah, he's just in his rightful seed. Actually, he's still 1 seed too low, but
pretty much.
But PWE is also as good.
No, he could definitely thrive in the 1 seed, but we have not had much of an opportunity to see him in action just yet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So powerful that 2 seed is the 1 seed.
I mean, yeah, he's pretty much right.
I mean, that's also a fair point, but you know, what really shocks me is that he's got such a PR difference over Rebobson, who obviously could easily play in the 1 seed.
Rebob's, yeah, I think Rebob struggled the last few seasons. His PR's decreased, but he
still in his rightful seed.
Yeah, he's been a 2 seed for a while, so he can hold his own in the 2.
Okay, so Rebob's PR shocks me, but what really shocks me is Neji, Itachi, and Owl losing last week on F2L.
Yeah, seriously.
So Itachi, Itachi and Neji both had super close 3-2s against their opponents. Right. Itachi losing in the 2 seed to Always Just in Time, and Neji losing to Lotus Knight. So like they lost to, I would say, 2 of the 10 best Hero Series players. You could probably convince me they're both top 5.
That was arguably one of the most Titan fighting 2 seed matches we've probably seen.
Yeah.
In THL, honestly, that's just insane to see those two playing each other in the 2 seed.
Yeah, and then Diamond just kind of put the motor to Milo. Like he really, like he got the job done. He put the nail in the coffin. Milo and I were both playing our matches at the same time, and I knew before my match was over that the week was lost. Like going into I think it was going into my game 5. I knew, because I looked and just checked to see what was going on. But, yeah, I mean, it was a really great match. For me, we had a close back and forth, me and Ruski. But this week I'm going against Chewbacca, who It's so scary. Like Snake Falls and Shu, there was a chance. There was not much of a chance because he did win and Snake Falls lost. So I was gonna have to play Snake Falls, but going against either of these players is gonna be tough. They're both seasoned THL players. Shu, winning both his matches last week. So it's gonna be tough, but I'm up for the challenge.
It's tough, but it's also definitely it's definitely anybody's game though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I like about this.
Mhm.
Two very strong teams. F2L, we always we always have pretty high expectations of them regardless of the series. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how if they are going to like really bring it back this week after an unfortunate setback last week.
Yeah. The crazy thing, however, is that HMPWE and Neji Boston both lost last week, which means this week one of those two will be 0-2. I don't expect
yeah.
either of them to be 0-2.
I wouldn't expect that either, but here we are.
But going down the actual list here, I mean, my prediction is that Neji versus PW. I think PW might take this one. Your Mom Kid versus Ru, I'm going to give to Your Mom Kid. But then the bottom three seeds, Itachi, Owl, and Dr. Fish, I'll see winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Realistically, Itachi and Posca is the closest. Is probably it's the closest PR match. I think my match with Shu and Posca's match with Itachi are the two are like pretty close as well. I think I realistically, Your Mom Kid's been on fire for the last couple of seasons. But we'll see which of the players adapt best to kind of what's coming, what we think might be like kind of the better lineups. And I'm super excited to play NPH. So I didn't get to play against them last season.
Oh wait, why not?
Because it was finals week that week, so I took a sub.
Oh, you took that was right. That was the week you took a sub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we are going to go into our second match for Hero Series. This is Geranium's pick. I don't know if there's a result for the match that has classes.
Yeah.
Check.
No.
Oh.
But
Okay.
you are saying that it's my pick. However, it's almost in a way Diamond's pick because he was about to baby rage if I didn't pick his match.
Yeah.
Oh, Diamond. Oh,
Yeah.
Diamond.
But to be fair, this is actually an extremely competitive match. Even though one of the teams has 19 points, the other one has 11. It is one win away. If Molestar or CMAC or Skirt had won, that's an extra 7 points basically, or almost. And so,
I mean, I think we're very much aware of the fact at this point that week 2 in the season, it's very hard to gauge.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really make judgments purely based on the first week of play. So I think it's a very reasonable statement to make that it's still like very competitive and it's still like very close despite the difference in records.
Yeah. And looking at the quality of players too, it's stacked all the way down the line for both teams. It's Hero. It's going to be like that. But like me even knowing and seeing these players play, like CMAC and Nine are maybe the people who I think are the worst on these rosters, and they're 2 in a row champs in Hero.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's not going to be easy for either side.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This is a good match. I like all these different. I like all the individual matchups. So I'm excited to see how this goes. We have classes for Mick and C-Mac as they're up on the screen. I'm curious. I'd be curious about the Druid. I would guess. We obviously they don't have decks, but there's been a new Druid deck that's kind of come back in a different form. So maybe that's I would be curious to see if that's what gets played there. I really like Rogue. Personally, I know it's not like the best class, but Rogue has some fun stuff going on from that for my playstyle anyway. But C-Mac going with his Hunter, getting the Priest, Shaman Warlock, double like Shaman Warlock brought for both players just shows like kind of how good those classes are. I would argue one of them is a must bring in a lot of cases. So curious to see how this one plays out.
And yeah, you're just talking about Anaconda Druid, right?
Yes,
the Druid that
Anaconda.
came back. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's somehow become very popular, but this is still the beginning of this new meta, so
Yeah.
unsure.
All right.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I guess I will. Before we go to my match, I will say and I think Lotus and Chicken is very close. I will lean for Lotus Knight. Wouldn't be surprised if Chicken wins. Justin versus Molestar. Gosh, Justin's just an insane hero player. I'll say Justin wins. Mick versus C-Mac. I'm a bit of a bigger fan of Mick's lineup. But I do see that C-Mac's brought Hunter. I think Hunter's an insane class, so I'm gonna pick C-Mac. Diamond versus 9. Diamond's gonna keep the roll going. And Ruski versus Skirt. Gosh, both players I have a tremendous respect for. I will pick Skirt, so I'll pick a 3-2 for Turt. Very, very close match though.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty reasonable. It's like I said, this one's closer than people. Like Geranium said, excuse me. This is definitely closer than people probably think.
Well,
Well, now that you've given your prediction on that match, what is your match?
all right. Well, my match this week is Bolner Jams 03 versus Mast. I picked this match because we have one team who started off really well, and one team that did not start off very well, and I wanna and so we have Bolner Jams, which is Donde's old team, which last season was Wherever I May Roam. It's almost the exact same lineup. We talked about him last week. It's Ron, Mexico, Donde, who's now in the 2, Big Ted now going down to the 3, Anfall in the 4, and Quaz in the 5. Mast is Magnificent in the 1, moving up. Always Lethal in the 2, moving down. Alien Santa in the 3, Mako in the 4, and Saku in the 5. So we've got 2 returning members from the championship team, faltering a little bit out of the gate, with only Mako and Magnificent getting wins. I don't think that's going to continue this week. I think that Mast will get some points. Some of these matchups are extremely interesting. Ron versus Magnificent, particular, is the matchup that I'd be most intrigued to see. They're both very good players. And seeing Donde go up to the 2C, Donde's played the 2C plenty of times in Hero. So him and Ted just kind of swapping seeds doesn't do that much for the team. Because I feel like they're both capable of winning in both places. However, I think Always Lethal will regain his legs and get a win this week over Donde. So I'm picking Ron in the 1, Always Lethal in the 2. Alien Santa in the 3, but the 4-5 of Bolner Jams gets wins. So Anfall Quaz, 3-2 for them.
Not believing in your teammate from Legacy. Okay. I mean, I think Saku's going to win over Quaz.
Nice.
However, yes, I agree. Anfall would probably beat 2-star Mako. Always Lethal is like a heat-seeking missile to Donde. I think he's just going to blow Donde up. He specifically lost, and Donde specifically won, so they could meet in the 2, and then Donde could lose. And then I believe in Mech's ability to play. I think he's a very, very good player.
Really
However,
is, yeah.
Ron is so hot in Hero. Oh, he's a summer calendar.
I mean, he's
model.
pretty hot in general, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Ron, yeah, like Geranium said, Ron has performed very well these last couple of seasons in Hero. So I kind of give
Yeah.
I kind of like to pick him a lot in Hero.
I mean, I would say that he's a competitor who started off very strong and has only gotten better. Like
Yeah,
the steady improvement he has shown over his time in THL is damn impressive for sure.
for sure.
So
Yeah,
he is not a and I'm not just saying that because he's beaten me. He's beaten me all 3 times we played each other in THL. So
yeah,
he's just really good.
yeah.
Goes without saying.
It's interesting. I will go slight side tangent, but I don't want to dwell too long in it. But Ron was in the first THL match I ever watched. When he and Dragon Rider faced off the season before I started playing. So that's pretty cool. It's cool. Just cool fact. So yeah, we have comment if you guys want to, give any final closing statements on this match or on Hero. We can move into Legacy. I know that JR said he wanted to mention something of an announcement.
Yeah, no. So if before we get to Legacy, just so that we kind of have just so that people know going forward, since Legacy is split up into 3 conferences and there are 3 matches being covered, we are going to make sure going forward that 1 match from every conference is covered. This way we can
Yes.
we can both not only cover each conference effectively, but also gives us an opportunity to make any kind of outside comments about the conference itself and how things are going. Since, as we all know, this is going to be the same way we did it 2 seasons ago, where the top 4 teams from each conference are going to make it into playoffs. So each conference is definitely going to have its own storyline kind of going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, we will also be doing that for Hero. I'll make sure every single conference gets covered there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Hero, I think, isn't that 1 conference?
Yeah,
Yes.
Hero's all 1, so that'll just be top 6.
Okay.
And then Pro will
He
be
threw me off with that.
Pro will be the
language.
same as Pro will be the same as last season, and Wild will be like Pro. It'll be top 4 from each conference. And then
Yeah.
Okay.
Wild, and I don't even know about EU Wild. That I don't know how many teams there are there, so we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, I think I am very interested to see how Hero plays out. Last season was very close in the standings. We'll see if we get more of separation this season between like the top teams.
Well, speaking of which, JR, what series are you going to cover?
Well, it was a tough one, but I decided to cover a match from the Gold Conference. We're of course going to be talking about Defias Brotherhood versus Flame Pimps. Both pretty familiar teams, I would say. We've of course got ourselves Defias Brotherhood, a team that made it all the way to the semifinals last season, had a great run, almost took down the finalists STD. And this season they have a mostly different roster, but they are keeping the same 1 seed with Wild 9, so they're still looking pretty strong.
Yeah,
And of course, Comp, the captain, is playing this time around, and we've got Neb Canuck back as well. Flame Pimps is, of course, mostly the same as well. They just replaced, whatchamacallit, who's the player that they replaced that I'm forgetting about?
I don't know. I know it's the person that Sheepies is playing for.
Yes.
I don't
yes.
remember from last season who was on the team. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I only
I
remember.
know, it's
I
killing me.
remember.
It's gonna-
I only remember the team from 2 seasons ago
It'll only take a
Oh
little
my
bit.
god. Yeah, when
FBM2 was on the team.
Reggie was on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
hold on. Oh dear. This is gonna kill me. But regardless, yeah, this is mostly the same team. We've of course got Taco Cat now playing in the 1, Cyan Sheepy's now playing in the 2, Goose continuing to be in the 3, Boolean continuing to be in the 4, and Didal TF1 in the 5. I think this match is going to be extremely hard to call. Both these teams are 1-0 right now. The matchups themselves look fairly even for the most part. Cyan Sheepy's, of course, we know him from Pro. despite the fact that he's never played in any of the standard series before. He's made a pretty decent name for himself. Classy Thug and the Realer I know very little about. I don't think I've heard of them at all, actually. So I'm very curious to see what they bring to Defias Brotherhood, considering they're already 1-0 and doing fairly well for themselves. So yeah, this one's tough, but I'm going to say I think that I'm going to give the slightest of edges to the Flame Pimps. They are still looking very strong. I think Goose and Sheepies are going to bring it back this week. I could see Classy Thug taking the win over Sheepies given the PR difference. But obviously, you're not going to make your evaluation. You shouldn't make your matchup predictions purely based on PR.
It was
So
it was Icer.
Yeah,
that's right.
Icer found it was too hot on the Flame Pimps, so he joined the cooler.
He joined the cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I like it.
That works out.
So yeah, I mean, the fact that Defias got 20 points this week is really good. Is really strong. They didn't even get the most points in their conference, though. I believe there's 2 teams.
Nope, and we're not covering those teams.
Yeah, no. I am gonna give a shout out to the match now. Don't worry. We have Agent P, Ellie, and the Light Showers going against Golden Wisps. I initially had picked that match, but we decided to go with a format where we cover every single conference. And that match is very exciting. I wish it's Pee-wee versus I wish I knew the matchups. You know them.
I do in fact know the matchup because I'm in it.
You're playing against MPV in the 3. It's Pee-wee versus shoot. I have this on my sheet.
Need me to pull it up? Okay. It's Pee-wee versus Always Lethal.
That's right.
It's Nails versus Mick. Me versus MPV. Canoe versus Stev or Steve. And Roofski versus Road Runner.
Yeah, and 3 of those are going. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really good match. That's gonna be a really good one. And so looking at Defias versus Flame Pimps, I think Wild 9 is gonna continue his winning ways. He's only been getting better and better, especially in Legacy. Classy Thug versus Sheepies. It's weird to see Sheepies have such a low PR for how good of a player he is. I think he'll win. I'll give it to Goose over Comp, Neb over Boolean, and bottom count. I don't know much about the real Allure. I will go with the person that I know because I've played against Diddle. I've played against him. So I would lean towards Flame Pimps, but I'm sure Defias will prove me wrong because they did that a lot last season.
Yeah, Defias was crazy last season. Their lineup looks crazy again this season. Defias is one of the teams that I'm actually scared to go up against in Legacy, and I think they're going to win this week.
Yeah.
I think probably Wild 9, Classy Thug, and the Realer take it, and that's all they need.
Gotcha.
But I also just wanted to mention a funny fact. Since we're talking about my team, Wild 9 and I, the gold conference casters will be casting both the 1 seed and the 5 seed of that other match that we were talking about this Saturday. So
I'm excited.
Since we're not covering it here, it'll be covered.
Yeah,
live.
It'll be live. It'll be played on stream. That's always cool to see when you get multiple matches from a specific team matchup. That's not just in playoffs essentially. So yeah, that's Gold Conference. Gold Conference looking good. I think there's a bit of I think there's going to be a clear divide in this conference, but before long. It just kind of the vibes I'm getting from that conference. I might be wrong though. So we'll see. Next up, Geranium's pick, and we're going to the conference that JR and I are in.
Yep, silver
Yep. And
something.
I've been seeing Bone Masher in these in the comments on stream here. I'm covering your match. All Pros Missing versus Dirty Mike and the Boys. Two teams that did very very well in the very first week here. Although it's a little bit of a damper on Bo Mesher that he was the only person to have lost from his team against the sub that we were shouting out
Yes.
earlier on in the in the episode. A lot of coincidences here. But yeah, obviously versus Kazgar from Dirty Mike and the Boys, Cheesy 10 versus Megu, Bone Masher versus Tony Montana, Trip versus Astral Frog, and Chewbacca versus Lefty 2111 the Stub. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think, I think Lefty 2111 should probably win his match. I think that he's quite good. Don't know why he really lost the first week. Astral Frog in the 4 is definitely like
Gross.
yeah. Sorry, Chirip. But then I think
Oof.
I think it starts. That's where the PR composition of Dirty Mike and the Boys starts catching up with them as they're 1 and 2. I just don't see them doing as well against Avi and Cheesy. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it
Mm.
all comes down to Bone Masher versus Tony Montana, and I think Tony Montana beats Bone Masher. Get out of here, Bone Masher.
I love it. I
Get
love
out
it.
of my
Mm.
chat.
I love it. Let's
Is that the
rag
spicy
on.
take you wanted, Bone
That's
Masher?
a good spicy take. Um,
I was
yeah,
saving my form to
I
win in the one in pro.
I it's interesting
Well
because I
done.
would
Well done.
I would absolutely agree that it's going to come down to the 3-4-5 matchups because I do think All Pros Missing has an advantage there. Um, I don't know that much about Kazgar or Megu, honestly. If I knew more about them, I would be able to give better I'd be able to give better takes. Um, so I will reserve judgment saying that that they're that much worse than Avi and Jeezy, but those two have a pedigree in THL, for sure. And it's being Megu's second season and Kazgar's second or third season. Like I think I would lean towards APM there. Bone Masher versus Tony Montana, super close match. I think that one and Shu versus Lefty are gonna really be deciders, and I think because I think Astral's gonna win this. Not that Cherup's a bad player, but Astral being in the 3 seed, like Astral, I could see playing the 2 and being fine. Like he's that I've seen him play. He's just an it's very very strong player. Oh
Yeah. Dirty Mike and the Boys has the exact same team as last season when they went 2-5-1.
yeah.
I think they got a little bit more fire in them this time,
Mm-hmm.
judging by this start here.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to win this week too. It'll just be more of a nail biter.
Gotcha.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm torn on this one. I want to cheer for my boys on Dirty Mike, but All Pros Missing, they're really good. They unfortunately won 4 of their 5 matches against my team last week, so I definitely got to take them seriously for
Yeah.
sure. But I mean, this is still very much possibly within. I could see both the one or the two actually being upsets, at
Mm-hmm.
least one of them,
Yeah, I could.
but hard to gauge.
Yeah.
It especially helps that both teams have momentum on their side right now, so that could also mean it's really anybody's game just on that rationale alone.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So let's take a look. I'm gonna pull up the Silver Conference standings, and Silver Conference is by far the closest conference in points. As even the teams that lost got over 10 points, while in both conferences there are one or multiple teams with less than 10 points last week. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we've got the teams that won in Dirty Mike and the Boys, All Pros Missing. Not Justin has points from last week, and Amber Flight Gleaming. And then there was a tie So Not Justin does have a win on this week already. I don't know who won, but congrats to them. It looks like it was a sweep on over a member of Hot Zilfs. So starting the week strong. Redfish and Zilfs tying. Wallet Warriors and IDK also sitting at 12 and 11 respectively. So I think this is going to be the close conference. I'm not saying it just because I'm in it. I'm saying it because I know that these teams are all very good. And the points are pretty close so far.
Yeah, just the sweep from Not Justin over Hot Zilfs was Mr. Beluga sweeping the Big Ted.
Okay.
I don't find that particularly surprising because
No.
I predicted Mr. Beluga would beat Neji last week.
Yeah. No, Mr. Beluga kept up and lost 3-2 in a very tight series. So I'm not surprised to hear that result. And I know Ted's a good player, but I mean Mr. Beluga keeping up with who I would argue is one of the top 3 legacy players. So very good on him to get the match win.
But what are we actually talking about?
Yes.
So next conference, one we have not talked about is the Red Conference. I have picked the top team in Chaos Theory against the lowest placed team, Standard THL Degenerates, the reigning runner-ups, with a slight roster with some slight roster changes. So Chaos Theory already down 4-1 as Corridon took a win over Risen 3-1. So the rest of the matches, we've got Notorious GHP versus Mr. Python. We've got Lawful Dog versus Jester, Isocles versus Electric Sheep City, and Kotamora versus Jerry Damage. So,
hey, wait, this is bullying. Why are you picking to feature the team that got the fewest points in all of Legacy last week?
Because I think that
they got to win.
They did win a match this week already, so they've almost gotten to double. They've almost gotten to 7 points this week, and I think that this matchup is much closer. I do think that Chaos Theory has advantages in some of the seeds for sure. I don't know that much about Lawful Dog, but he's a higher MMR, higher PR player. Jester kind of getting his having to settle into the 2 seed on this team, for sure. Electric Sheep City versus Isocles. It's so unfair that Isocles sits at like 381 PR in Legacy. I know he's a better hero player in general, like just kind of based off PR. Where he's not he's a 550 there, but he's almost only 400 in Legacy. So I think that the match with Sheep, I know how good of a player Sheep is from doing co-ops with him. Maybe not in Standard, but we do some wild co-oping. But he's a very knowledgeable player and good player. He had an outstanding season. I think that Kotamora having that advantage in the 5 seed is going to pay big dividends to keep Chaos Theory in this. I think I'll pick Python in the 1 because I love Python very much. He's one of my favorite players to watch. And he's excellent. GHP also a very good player. As JR has experience with GHP on a team. I'd say Lawful Dog over Jester. I'd say I'll
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, Fish, what did you say about me?
No.
We can just move past it.
I said that GHP was on.
No.
GHP was on your team.
No. Python was on my team.
No, wasn't GHP on IDK at one point?
He might have subbed one week. I think.
Oh, okay, he
was
subbed.
never officially part of my roster.
Oh, I thought he played on one of your. I thought he played on one of your teams a few years ago.
No, you're good. You can continue.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I think I love Isocles. I like Sheep a lot as well. It's a very tough call. I'm gonna give it to Sheep, and then I'll say Kotamora. So it goes 3-2. I think Chaos Theory gets the week over STD. Yeah.
Another interesting fact about this match: Jerry Damage actually DQ'd week 1.
Yeah, I thought so because his PR didn't change.
DQ.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the only DQ in all of in all of Legacy, maybe even in all of
I don't
THL last week.
I
Uh,
I don't think it was due to submission though. So
no, it was not. Everyone submitted. It's just that
No, everyone submitted.
some match mishap happened, and then Jerry
oh,
Damage DQ'd on that. Um, and
unfortunate.
yeah, this week I think is going to be harder for Jerry Damage. I mean, Kotomura was 7-1 in the 5 seed last season on Chaos Theory. It was just that Ron Mexico sort of leading in the 1 wasn't able to keep Chaos Theory in it. Notorious GHP, I mean, not being named Ron Mexico is definitely an upgrade from that. So I just don't know if GHP will beat Mr. Python. I think I do think though that Jester will beat Lawful.
Mhm. That's possible, definitely. All right.
JR, any thoughts, or are we moving to our commercial?
The only thing I don't really have much to add. I think you guys did a good job of covering this one. The thing that really just makes this I'll just say this: I'm very surprised to see Corden take an early win over Risen, considering how ridiculous he is in the 4 seed. Corden has proven to be a very strong player in the 4, but obviously Risen is somebody who we would not expect him to take down easily. So that's a pretty huge win. Other than that, I definitely think this one is too close to call between Isocles being in the 3 seed, and that being ridiculous to having the always powerful Mr. Python in the 1 seed for STD. This is just
Yeah.
like this is gonna be interesting. I'm very curious. And I just hope that Jerry Damage. I hope everything's good with him and we don't see another DQ loss from him because
Exactly.
you hate to see those in
Always
any
do.
situation.
Yeah. So yeah, this conference also seems to have kind of a divide where the winners in blue, like really Cooler and Team Justin had got 12 points in their losses last week, while STD and the Stubbs took some harsh losses to the teams they played against, with F12, White, Bluefish, Seek Guidance, and Chaos Theory getting wins. So Red Conference and Gold Conference seem to kind of have that divide between the teams that got over 12 points and the teams who got above 12 points. I'm curious to see because it's only week 1, so that's what you expect standings to look like. So we'll see how it. I don't expect it to stay that way all season, but maybe it will. Don't really know.
Yep, and it's our goal as being on top teams to keep them down there. Don't let them get any ideas.
Yeah,
I would agree with that one. Yeah,
for sure. All right. So we're gonna head to our commercial break, and then we're gonna go into our final series.
Okay, well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Tavern Talk. If you're enjoying our show, make sure you check out Rutland Saloon and the Maniacal Tournament series on Mondays, which is just right now starting right back up, and Ronnie Tuesday on Tar Center on Sunday that you'll never guess. Are you still asking, where's my content? Well, we stream THL matches each night from Thursday to Sunday, starting at 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. Being match schedules are determined by player caster availability. Side effects may include knowledge and fun. But wait, that's not all. We also have incredible matches on weekend afternoons on Schoolstone, precise times days are subject to availability. Speaking of which, please consider subscribing to our Twitch channel. This subscription enables the THL team to help cover the various costs of operating a website and improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. We see someone asking in our chat, what is Twitch Prime? That's what it said. Well, if you have Amazon Prime or Prime Gaming, you can sub to the channel for free. So hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team streams live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Especially to our viewers, check out THL's other social shows and points of interest. Website is at teamheartlegends.com. Follow us on Twitter at THL_HS. Join us on Discord at Team Hearth Legends, and then THL POW podcast is wherever podcasts are sold.
There's all of our beautiful emotes in the chat.
All 4 of them, a brushy tuna emote. Thank you, Bone Masher, for catching me after.
All good. So we have one more series left to cover, and that is Pro Series. Pro Series being our open deck with conquest format for standard. So first match up is in the Black Conference. It's JR's pick.
that is correct. And I decided to go with Brushy Tuna versus Swagaway. Of course, these are 2 pretty recognizable teams. Brushy Tuna was pretty big last season, made up of the powerhouse roster of Lotus Knight, Ducharmo, Donde, based in Ron, Mexico right now.
There's just one change, yeah. for the team
Yeah,
from
Donde
last
I
season.
think was the only one, right?
Yeah,
Donde was the only one
Isocles
on the
played
team,
last
yeah.
season. Yeah.
Yes. And then of course we've got Team Swagoy who had 2 rosters last season, and were doing pretty well for themselves. And now it feels like they just decided to keep it down to 1. Edelweiss is still the captain, of course.
Hmm.
And she is still, from what I gather, going to be pretty involved with this team. But the roster itself is made up of some pretty noteworthy people. Because, of course, you've got No Glocko, who we know very well from No Pros here, and
Yeah.
has played for them for multiple seasons. GLE, previously known as Try,
Hmm.
who we've seen play on F2L a couple seasons ago in Pro. Molstar, of course, we know from crap, which hero team did he first play on?
Well,
I'm
he
trying to
was
remember.
Molstar was on. He was on Agua. He was on
Thank you.
Agungana Samong. Yeah.
Yes. Linthesis, who I know has also previously played for Swagoy,
Mhm.
and Jared Pullet. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, they had a rough first week of only 7 points, with No Glocko being the only player to get a win.
Yeah.
And Brushy Tuna with a huge victory uh, of Lotus Knight, Dusharmo, and Donde getting wins, and both Based and Ron, while losing, did pick up. They did pick up 4 points between the two of them. Each of them getting 2 games in their matches, so that's still pretty good showing overall.
Yeah.
I do think Brushy Tuna kind of has the edge here given their roster, but I really think Swagway is a team that people should watch out for. I could easily see them making a comeback and really thriving in this competitive environment. They're still not a team to be underestimated.
No, not at all. I completely agree. Glee is an insane player. Um, so I expect him to not see a lot of losses this season. Molsar also a guy who is just very 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 good. Usually hangs in like the upper, in like the super high legends, like looking at like top 20, even top 10 probably a lot of the time. Jared Pullet is, I've seen him stream a few times. He's a very good player. Lymphasis, also a respectable player, very good. Um, Going against kind of like THL mainstays. Uh, this has turned into the board. This is kind of like the new board team. With Aeon not being a team, we have a team with Dusharmo, Donde, and Based. Um, I also agree. I think that Brushy Tuna, like, it looks like they have the advantage just with kind of with I'd say roster construction. I think based in Ron losing last week is quite unfortunate for Jared and Linthesis, because I don't think those two are going to keep losing. They're both very good, and I don't know. I mean, obviously I team with them in Legacy, so I'm a bit biased there. Um,
Only slightly biased, though,
Only
right?
slightly. I think that I do. I will, like I unfortunately picked against Donde and here. I'll pick Molstar in the 3. Dusharbo versus Glee is so interesting. I have a hard time not picking Glee to win, and then Lotus. So I think it's 3-2 Brushy Tuna, with Lotus, Base, and Ron getting their wins.
Yeah.
I feel like I gotta give it to Lotus, Glee, Donde, Based, um, and Ron. Yeah, I really feel like Brushy Tuna is probably gonna take this one,
Yeah.
but
Before
I do love a good upset.
before you guys were talking about how you're not comfortable underestimating Swagoy. I'm perfectly comfortable underestimating Swagoy. They
I'm
got
telling
7.
Edelweiss you said that.
Yeah, no, go for it. Edelweiss Edelweiss was captaining last time too, when Brushy Tuna won 17-7 against Swagoy last season. Um, the team is a little bit different.
Yeah.
We got Glenn and Molstar in on the team. Um, and Brushy Tuna's team is different. We got Donde instead of Icicles.
Either.
And I know that Donde is a step down from Icicles. So all the eggs are swinging into Swagoy's basket, and yet Brushy Tuna is still going to take this week, and that's just
Yeah,
that.
I
It's not a spicy take, but it
I
is
I think any
spicy.
team, with base ink on it is always positioned to win every week, whether she's playing or not.
She has had that trend. Yeah.
She is very if she's involved with your team, like you're being given like the best information possible from one of the best players that's in THL. So I think that Brushy Tuna will succeed this season. Um because I mean they have such really good communicative players on their roster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Um
it's pretty fair.
yeah, definitely fair. Let's look at our next match, Geranium's pick. And I guess we have another instance where we picked a team that did really well last week and a team that didn't do well last week.
Yeah. However, I think there's a slight quality
There's a quite
difference.
quality difference.
Yeah, between Swagoy and For the Clowns. Sorry to Swagoy again, but For the Clowns is always in the top four.
Mhm.
And last week they faced Hype Horizon, and this week they faced Bread Ape. So they're just going through the gauntlet right now
Yeah.
of Hype Horizon being the second team last time, Bread Ape being the first team last time, uh, with one small difference in that Avi is now playing for Bread Ape, and that Pescoa is now playing for the Clowns. But really, um, it's not. It doesn't seem all that different from last time when Bread Ape or when Shed Ape faced for the Clowns. Uh, Super Chicken just hasn't seemed to have found his home yet, and so he's now facing Avi, which is an absolute almost a team kill in how these guys are friends in lots of different ways. Um,
Mhm.
Heat Shock versus German Shep. German Shep is has definitely um, continued to increase in quality every single month. He is just all the time in the tops of MTQs. I would not be surprised if he becomes a GM in the future. Uh, and then Heat Shock um, is uh, a perennial prepper. He is extremely good at working with his team and making sure that all of Wash U is working together for Shed Ape. Uh,
Mhm.
I still feel like German Shep is going to win that. Ufric versus Nails. Somehow Nails is in the two after all of his team lost.
Mhm.
None of the teams switched positions. He's facing Ufric, and I actually think that's probably too close to call. Neji versus Valdus. I don't know why Neji lost last week. I mean, I do because it was versus
He
Hyper Horizon. But
yeah. Oh, I have Neji's thoughts on the match. He he was not happy after it. But that's besides the point.
yeah, I think he's going to take the fire back
Mhm.
and beat Valdus's usually weird lineup.
Mhm.
Um, Pasco, I know is incredibly great, and C-Mac's losing in Hero. Come on, C-Mac. You gotta bring it to face Pascoa. So I think it's going to be a three to. I think German Chef Neji and Pascoa are going to be the winners on For the Clowns,
Mhm.
and three to either one or two.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a close one. I think that for the Clowns wants to get their win back that they didn't get against Bright Ape when they were Wash Tappers last season. So I will lean to for the Clowns. But all biases being held, I think that these are two of the strongest teams in Pro, and I'm very excited to see them play this week. Um, yeah, Jr. Any thoughts?
Honestly, I feel bad because I gotten to the point right now where pro is like so fascinating to watch unfold, but I really don't know what else to say? It's
Mhm.
like the tough part about pro is it's so stacked with players,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Like maybe if I saw that the classes were more available, I'd be more likely
Yeah,
to have some opinions.
agreed.
But that would also be a lot to sort through in order to really properly analyze each individual match.
Mhm.
So I don't know. The the thing that I look at when I look at this matchup in particular is that you've got some powerhouse players going up against each other. And it's like very hard to gauge
Yeah.
most of these. Like some pro matchups I'm more inclined like the matchups for these that I think are particularly close are German Shep versus Heat Shock, obviously versus Super Chicken, and CMAC versus Pascoa. Valdes versus Neji and Ufric versus Nails, I would probably give the slightest of edges to both of the For the Clowns players there. But even then, like, I'm not going to pretend like those are one-sided at all because they're not. I just think
Yeah.
Nails and Neji have proven themselves to be some truly incredible players at the moment. And, since they've started playing in THL, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, again, pro is just very stacked. There is way too much talent here to kind of fit into one
Mhm.
room.
For sure. So yeah, we have covered two Black Conference teams. So I picked a match from the Pink Conference. As we've got to get some of the other conference in. We've got my match Sheepies versus Aussie Pro Mafia. Look at this, Bowmaster gets covered twice again. Because his teams are that good. Um, the matchups are Cheyenne Sheepies versus Bone Masher, the captain. Why the Hunter versus Quake Lord. Mikos versus Reverb. Swanky Pants versus Maxi Bond. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swanky Pants being 11 and me. Formerly. Always Lethal versus Oddlaw as the bottom match. Um, again, I'm so interested um about how Aussie Pro Mafia will keep on going through this season. I think this will be I just Sheepies is so good. I think that this is the team that might give Aussie Pro Mafia a lot of trouble. Um, as veteran teams that's made playoff runs before. I believe Sheepies may have made um I think they may have made semis last year. I'm not 100% sure. Um, but I think both seasons they've lost to either the team that they've either lost to a finalist or the champion. So, I'm not going to give I'm going to still give Aussie Pro Mafia their due because they are very good players in their own rights. And they took a really nice win last week. Um, I think I will favor Sheepies. I don't know, Bowmasters vs Sheepies interesting. Um, I think I think Science Sheepies will probably take it, although Bowmasters versus Sheepies might be closer than I think. Quakelord versus Why the Hunter. Quakelord is just one of the best players I've ever seen play Hearthstone. At least in my opinion, but he's mainly a WoW player. But I think Quakelord's gonna win. Reverb versus Mikos. I'm gonna say Reverb, and then I think Always Lethal takes a win over Oddlaw, and then Swanky Pants versus Maxi. I think that's gonna be a really close deciding match. I'll give it to Swanky Pants to take it, and I think it goes 3-2 for Sheepies. But I'm not gonna count out my boys from Wild.
Every single time I think I look at a match that has Maxibon in it,
Yeah, he's very
Maxibon
good.
loses that week. So I need to stop paying attention to
Oh,
Pro and stop paying attention to Wild
mm-hmm,
because I want Maxibon to win.
mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, uh, I mean, I believe also isn't Why the Hunter also very good in Wild?
I
Um,
actually don't know.
okay,
Hmm.
well,
Maybe.
either way, we got the Wild team crossing over into Pro. Did very well last week. Um, and here I think is where Bone Masher meets his comeuppance finally. Ah,
Hmm.
stay in Legacy where you belong.
This dude's Bowmaster's playing all the series, and I think he did pretty well for himself.
He just won't leave us alone.
I think he did pretty good last week, too.
He's actually not playing all the series.
Oh, he's
one of the only
almost-
people who is playing all the series is Owl. Bone Masher is captaining.
Okay, Bone Masher isn't playing hero, but he's still above me. He's right above me in crossover. So, shout outs to him. He's got one extra. He's got one less loss than me this week. I think he and I are pretty close in that regards. I don't like to dwell on crossovers so early. I just want to humble brag that I'm above Neji in the crossovers for this week, and then then he'll beat me. Then he'll be ahead of me for the rest of the season and everybody else by the end. So,
Please end crossover right now.
who's winning crossover? Donde.
No, please end crossover
Please
right
end
now.
crossover right now. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then
Donde
Donde would win
alphabetically.
it, and that might be too much ego, as Lotus Knight would say.
Oh dear.
But yeah, I mean, him and Ked are super close. They're the same record, same games. So it'll be interesting. So it's really interesting because crossover is gonna have more players because of EU Wild. So there's some players who play both Wild series, and then if they're in one standard series, they're in crossover. So it'll be very interesting. Yes, as Saku did say, Neji has completed the 3-peat of crossover player. So we'll see if he gets that again. And that's all the matches that we have for the week. For predictions, we do have some more matches to talk about that will be on on stream this week. I do have the list of all the matches. So tomorrow night, Thursday Throwdown, we've got at 8 p.m. Pro Series Ping Conference match, Lefty 2111 of Mancrick's Multiple Wives versus Mullahu of Poem Locked and Loaded. And at 9 p.m. we have a Wild Green Conference match, NA Wild Series. We have Hyperin of the Golden Hand, which is the team I am on, and Memnarch of Hair Club. And then casters for the evening will be Nice Jewish Owl and Heat Shock, and I will be helping with the Wild casting for the 9 p.m. match. Friday night fights, we've got full slate. 8 p.m. Legacy Conference Silver Battle, MPV Golden Wisp versus our boy Geranium Battle of Agent P. Ellie and the Light Showers. 9 p.m. we have Battlegrounds Lobby A. I will actually be playing on stream for that. As my team is in the lobby, is in the two lobbies that will be streamed.
Yeah.
There are two lobbies only every week, so we're probably just gonna go back and forth. 10 p.m. Pro Black Conference.
Does make it a little easier.
Pro Conference Shep versus Heat Shock. So we get to see that one live. That's gonna be Saku, Donde, Corden, some combination of those people. Salty Saturday, which is going to be Wild 9 and Geranium Battle. At least. We've got 8 p.m. Legacy Silver, Lefty 2111 of Dirty Mike and the Boys versus Shoebach of APM. We've got Legacy Gold Conference Roadrunner of Golden Wisp versus Ruski of Agent PLE and the Light Showers. And then one more match in that, we've got Always Lethal versus Agent PWE right after. No Saturday Schoolstone matches so far. We will take Wild and Standard. If you would like to play, please contact myself or NHLNJ fan / Marty B.
AKA Marty B.
Yeah. Sunday Schoolstone has one match so far. It is Isocles of Dad Legend versus Mr. Python of Snakes on a Campaign. That'll be a very interesting match. Oh, Donde and Corden bailed on you. I am so sorry, sir.
Oh yeah, that's right. Saku did post that.
Yeah, so there will be different casters this week than usual. Who knows? Maybe I'll make an appearance on that.
I might be able to, but I can't make
We'll
any
see.
promises just
We'll
yet.
we'll see. We'll see who gets to show up, and then lastly, so that's gonna be Sunday will be Lotus Knight and friends. He has some really great casters that he brings on for Sunday Schoolstone. Sunday Showdown, where we've got Dollar Bills and Myanodon for all of the constructed matches, and Steffi and Saku holding down the battlegrounds. We've got 8 p.m. match Borden versus Jespine. So that's Dad Legend versus Snakes on a Plane Hero Series match, and it will be 9 p.m. Battlegrounds. We do not have a 10 p.m. match. If you would like to play on Sunday night and you are playing at 10 p.m. Eastern, or are able to play at 10 p.m. Eastern, you want to play on stream, contact our boy Saku, and I'm sure he'll be able to fit you in. So yeah.
This week,
yes,
this week is awesome. This week is awesome. 5 of my team's matches are going to be on stream. And the best part is neither of my 2 hero players told me they were going to be on stream. Thank you very much.
Jespine.
Oh yeah,
Jespine and Mr. Python.
Mr.
Come on, man.
Python,
but I'm
plays,
actually very
yeah.
excited for that pro match. German Chef versus Heat Shock. The 1 seeds of that highly contested match that we covered.
Definitely. I'm excited to cast some Wild tomorrow. Wild's very interesting right now, to see how things play out. With Warlock kind of just looming around the entire meta. Conquest meta for Wild is pretty interesting, as long as because you can just ban it. So we'll see how things play out overall. But it has been fantastic week.
That doesn't save anything. Just messaged my Discord that he is going to be on stream. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
We wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah. So Saku telling us all of the changes to casters in the chat. So Steffi casting BGs, Myanodon, and himself for standard. So that'll be really good. So I will I will maybe be on top of things more next time around, but luckily our streaming scheduling spreadsheet is back up. So that's gonna conclude Tavern Talk this week. We will be back again next week, same time, same place. We will, at least one of these weeks, we're gonna have a special Tavern Talk, but it won't be for a little bit, very likely. And yes, we will shout out Lotus Knight for the spreadsheet that Saku, myself, and him used to schedule the matches, or at least make sure that we know which matches are being streamed. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody, to watching. Those who chatted, those who were just watching, thank you all for making THL amazing. Thank you to my 2 co-hosts, as always. You guys are amazing and fantastic, and wouldn't want to do with any other 2 people, honestly. So we will again, like I said, see you all next week. Yeah, until then, tomorrow night we'll be starting the matches. 8 p.m. start times most days, except for the actual afternoon weekend match. So until then, everybody, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday evening. Good night.
Night, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Greeting, traveler.